Protesting students from Wits University have been dispersed following a demonstration of accommodation at the university this morning. About 50 students embarked on a protest at the Empire Road entrance where they attempted to block vehicles from accessing the campus. The students are demanding free accommodation to be provided by the university. Security has been beefed up to ensure that the protest doesn't flare up once again. Let's get the very latest now and bring in Wits SRC Secretary General Katie Morgets. She's on the line to us. Katie, very good morning to you. Talk to us about the reason or the aim of this protest this morning.
Good morning. Thank you to you and thank you to your listeners. So the aim of the protest this morning is to ensure that all students who are homeless, all students that are living in toilets, all students that find themselves sleeping in labs and do not have access to accommodation are accommodated. Ours is to say that no student who is seeking an education should be found wanting.
Katie, you saying students living in toilets? Are you being hyperbolic or is this reality on the ground?
Pardon?
You did say that students living in toilets, you're talking about homeless students. Are you being hyperbolic or is this actual reality on the ground?
Excuse me, but I can't hear you properly. Is there any way that you can project a bit more clearly?
Katie, I just wanted to check. You were talking about students that are homeless and you were saying that students are living in toilets. Is that the reality on the ground?
That is the reality on the ground, and it perpetuates itself virtually every single year. It is not the first time that we find ourselves students living in such inhumane conditions, but the university is quiet about it. The government is quiet about it. They are okay with just letting these students live in these humane conditions. And we are saying that under our leadership, it is not going to happen. Nobody who is seeking a better education should be found in a situation where they have to sleep in a toilet, where they do not have access to good conditions, when all they are trying to do is to have access to accommodation.
We're looking at some, well, I would call it disturbing footage of, people sleeping in what looks like a lecture room with computers and stuff like that. That's currently playing on our screens. I want to get a sense of what, going into this, what students were promised when enrolling at Wits University.
Listen, we cannot speak on behalf of the institution to say what is it that Wits promised them. But I know one thing for sure is that there isn't anybody in their clear mind who would leave their home in pursuit for a better future so that they can come live in the conditions that they are living in. When we walk into those rooms, it is disheartening to know that they are being stripped of their human dignity. We complain that as a society there's a perpetuation of gender-based violence, but we have male students cohabiting in the same environment where they do not have access to accommodation. It's sickening.
Talk to us about the gender-based violence issues at the institution.
Pardon?
Talk to us about the gender-based violence issues at the institution you were talking about earlier on.
All right. So, if students are sleeping, we're not saying that this is what is happening to them. However, what we are saying is that it does create the potential risk of students being exposed to gender-based violence. When somebody is found in a situation where they do not have accommodation, they become vulnerable. And when they become vulnerable, if somebody offers you a place to stay, whether male or woman, you become exposed to those realities. They can do anything they want with you because you are at their mercy because you don't have accommodation. And that is all because you just want to get a better education.
I hear you. So you're talking about the potential risk if this continues. Talk to us about the demands from students. Are you calling for free accommodation?
Yes, we are calling for free accommodation for students who cannot afford to pay for education, for accommodation. If a student cannot be funded by NSFAS, of which the government has provided for, if students did not meet the hardship funding criteria, which means they fall within that middle class gap, what is it that we are doing to assist them?
So the missing middle, so to speak, is a huge issue. It's a ubiquitous issue around South Africa in terms of, institutions of higher learning. What is the rules, though, Katie, in terms of talking to free accommodation, rather, being offered to students? What's the current situation?
Our stance is that we know that the university has the resources. And if the university claims that they do not have resources to fund these students, then it is the duty of the university to go out to the public sector if they need to go out to the private sector if they need to raise funds for those students. How do you expect a student to academically excel if they are not able to live in a condition where they have access to food, where they have access to just a basic living condition? There's no way that any student can excel when they are being exposed to such harsh conditions, and it affects them academically as well. And in turn, it creates a ripple effect where students will not have access to funding opportunities because they don't have the marks.
Katie, just before I let you go, talk to us about the engagements with university management prior to these protests.
So we've been given a very mammoth task. We've been in robust engagements with the university, and the reality is when this crisis arose, we thought that we had handled it very well through the hardship fund and through further engagements with management in terms of raising the amount of money that they will be spending on access to accommodation. But unfortunately, there has been an excess of students that have come after the proceeding who need our assistance, and we cannot let them fall into the cracks of the system. It is our duty to find the means to assist them.
All right, Katie, let's leave it there. We'll no doubt keep a close eye on the situation at Wits. That was Wits SRC Secretary General Katie Morgets there. All right, I want to take you now to Kenya. Kenya's tour operators will hold a briefing on the impact of the novel coronavirus